Okay, sir. We had the second video here. So we discussed the equity markets. And now let's talk about the REITs. REITs are real estate investment trusts. RE investment trusts. There are different types of real estate investment trusts or equity REITs. So essentially, they're companies investing in actual properties, earning rental income, and then passing that rental income on to the REIT holder. They're mortgage REITs. So mortgage is a loan contract. It's not an act. It's not actual property, but there's interest payments being made on that loan. That's passed on to the REIT investor, and then there's a hybrid. Good things about the REITs is they usually have high dividends. People like that. They like the idea, like I put my money in something and then I get an income every quarter. I get money back. But it could be that it does follow the stock market though. That's not really a good diversifier, I would say, because when a financial crisis happens, the real estate and the stock market are going down. And that's what really you want to diversify from those worst case scenarios. So people like the income, there could be capital appreciation, and there is some diversification benefits, just from the day to day, maybe. Commodities are raw materials. They could be raw materials sold in bulk. So like oil. It's obviously hard to own like if you owned a barrel of oil, that'd be a good store of value, right? You could sell the oil for sure. But you have to put it somewhere. You have to store it. It's an environmental hazard. You spill it. So you don't really want to own it outright. But let's say you want some exposure to it. There are financial contracts tied to the price of oil. And so these could provide diversification benefit. It could maybe a return enhancer. Like right now, we're going through a battery revolution. So lithium, um, I mean, lithium is of need. And so there's the mining, a lot of lithium, that price is going up. So, which is hedge against inflation. You can do that. Commodities typically move up and down with inflation and deflation. Performance can be good, and you're getting a diversification benefit. Because yeah, sometimes like lithium went up in price, even though stock market went down in 2022. Um, Money markets are short-term loans, essentially. Usually, in order to create a money market type of instrument, you have to be pretty safe kind of institution to do so. It's a place to warehouse cash for the short term. You get a little bit of interest, but it's safe. Cryptocurrency or digital assets is another category. And I think that people misunderstand crypto. It's very different than these traditional securities that I just spoke about. Very different. And because they're different, people look at crypto digital assets like, what is this? Don't really totally understand and get it. But once you kind of look into it and you see what's underneath it all, you realize there's a lot of value here. And people, more value than people, I think, understand. Bitcoin, if I was in, I have some crypto, I have Bitcoin, I have Ethereum, I have some other ones, but mostly Bitcoin, Ethereum. Bitcoin to me, essentially what it is, it's a banking system on the internet. If you think about the core functions of a bank, it's to store, send, and receive, right? Those are the core functions of a bank. And in the old days, right, you go to the regional bank and you have a check, you cash it, or you want to send money to somebody, and then you have to go to the bank during bank hours. And then to do all that stuff, sometimes the money can take a couple of days to be received. Uh, Sometimes like a week or more if it's sent international. The transaction fees for doing such transfers are high. There's also the problem of kind of central banks messing around with their currencies and overinflating them. And so what Bitcoin does is it mitigates against that central bank risk of messing with the currency, and it creates a fixed supply. And then essentially a 24-hour banking system, you can store your Bitcoin and you can send and receive using a digital wallet for very cheap using a Lightning Network. And you can do it 24/7. Essentially, you have a banking system on the internet with none of the frictions I just mentioned. That seems to me a better way to go. Ethereum is totally different than Bitcoin because it has all these code smart contracts running on that are posted on the blockchain, and essentially smart contracts enable decentralized or applications. So there's a lot of services and applications that are running on Ethereum. They could be gaming, could be like art, could be finance. So that the smart contracts allow for that. So there's a lot of decentralized services. And then sometimes the applications, they have tokens themselves. The idea of the token, let's say an example would be a Uniswap token. It's on Ethereum. It's not its own blockchain. It's a project running on the Ethereum blockchain. And they issue their own token for their project. And if you hold the token, then you have rights to vote on any kind of governing matters. So what that essentially enables is it allows the community to be involved in the project. You can have say in the project. If I own an equity in a company, we don't really have a say. There's an annual meeting, there's sometimes there's voting, but there's nothing of significance typically. So this is a way to get the user. So like if I use Apple's product, I don't get revenue from them for using it. I don't get any say in what they do with their software or anything. I just use it. But in this decentralized application world, I can now use a service. I can then benefit if more people use the service where the price of the token goes up. I can have governing rights. So I kind of have an equity stake, I have a governing stake, and I have a usage stake. So a lot more stakes. That's why crypto's cool, even though many projects are, there's scams and a lot of craziness out there. But I think that is to be in any new technology, especially revolutionary technology, it always starts out with scams. Always does. That's a good sign. It's a good sign when there are a lot of scams because there's something underneath the technology that's powerful and of it's a lot of significant value, but people shade it in other ways that people can't tell, and those are the scams. So the intelligent people can then decipher between scam and not scam, right? So to me, Bitcoin and Ethereum are definitely not scams. All right, let's go to the next lecture. let's see. We're chapter 2. So now we understand the securities that are issued. We're going to go into how they're actually sold in the marketplace, how the security markets are organized. So there's a primary market. Those are new issues. So I'm a new company and I want to issue stock for the first time. That would be, I do that in this primary market. It could be bonds too. Any new issuance of a bond, any security is called the primary market. So if U.S. government wants to sell new issues, they do this using auctions at the Federal Reserve New York. So people that want to buy the treasuries go to the auction. They're typically Goldman, and they're institutions, Goldman Sachs, whatever. They come in and they buy the auction for these treasuries. If a municipal bond is sold, they're sold in different ways. It can be a competitive bid. This is typical of what like investment banks will help do. So if I'm a municipal government, I don't know much about finance or selling, raising money or anything like that. So then I hire an investment bank, and the investment bank will determine or help determine using a competitive bid or negotiated sales as ways to figure out to get people to buy in and at what price. Sometimes you don't use investment banks, and those are private placements. And this, with the blockchain and crypto, it's possible you could remove the need for an investment bank because then you can do the entire thing on the blockchain. Um, Corporate bond issues are sold through a negotiated arrangement with investment bank. So corporate bonds and corporate stock are all the same. You need an investment bank to establish the new issuance, and then after they're sold, then they're traded in the secondary market. So just kind of like I buy a new car from the dealer, that's a new car, right? That's a new issuance from the dealer, which is the primary market. Then I drive the car around, it's used, and then I sell it, on the internet or something. That would be the secondary market. So US government bonds are traded through these dealer networks. So what a dealer network essentially is just like a Walmart or Target. They hold inventory of securities and then they sell them to interested parties. Secondary corporate bond markets. Um, Also, dealers. Equity markets, it's dealers and auctions. So we're going to go into these two different trading systems of a broker and a dealer market. Before we go in, we need to know some terminology: the ask versus the bid price. An ask price is the price someone's willing to sell. So essentially, they're asking, "Hey, you want to buy this?" So it's from the seller's point of view. The bid is someone that wants to buy. So the bid price, right? So if I'm an interested party and looking to pick up some of this, then I figure out what the ask price is. I look at what the person who wants to sell at. So I look at the ask. If I want to sell, I look at the bid prices. That's what people want to buy at. There are different types of orders. This order just occurs at the best price. This one only uh, triggers an order when it hits a specific price. This is borrowing from your broker. This is borrowing shares from your broker and then selling them in the open market. It's called short selling. So we can go into what short selling is. So let's say I borrow 50,000 shares of Apple stock at $100 a share. So I have those shares. Now I'm borrowing them. And then at some point I have to, pay it back. So I wait for the price to fall. Let's say go to 80. I go into the open market and I buy 50,000 shares at 80. I was able to borrow at 100, right? Sell them back at a lower price. So that would give me a gain. It's kind of like the opposite way of thinking when you're buying. It's selling short. So limit books are a way for transactions, orders to be kind of matched. So people put in their limit orders, like I want to buy 700 shares, 500 shares at $30 a share. Another order comes in, I want to sell 700 shares at 33. So assume you purchase 100 shares of Intel. When you contact your broker, suppose you place a market order to buy 100 shares of Pepsi. What order price? What's the matching process? So if you place a market order to buy, you're going to look at the seller's column, what people are willing to sell at, and you want to buy at the lowest price, and 32 is your lowest price. So the transaction will occur at 32. There's 800 shares available. So you only need 100 shares. So that transaction can occur at 32. And this is an example of what auction use, like orders come in and then they're matched. Versus a dealer system, the dealers hold inventory. Everyone's inventory is different, so the bid and ask prices are going to be slightly different as well. Now, buying on margin, this is borrowing from your broker. And so what you need to know here is that the maintenance margin, or the minimum margin or the initial margin is typically 50%. So if I have $5,000, I put $5,000 in a brokerage account. Then I can borrow an additional $5,000 from the broker up to 5,000. Now I have a total of 10,000, and I put that to work. But I still owe the 5,000 back to the broker. So you buy 200 shares at 50 as stock, borrow on margin up to the 50% initial margin requirement. So you buy 200 shares of a $50 stock, borrow on the margin. Stock prices increases 60. What's your return? So first determine how much is being borrowed. So there's 200 shares times 50. That's $10,000. So 1 minus 0.5 is $50,000. This is the equation. You take the total investment times 1 minus the margin. That will give you how much you borrow. If I take 10,000, I multiply by the margin, that's how much you need to put up. So let me change this number for example to 40%. That would mean I would need to put up 4,000 and I can borrow 6,000. If P goes up to 60, then the market value of the purchase is 12,000. So now the total investment went up to 12. You put in 10, right? So if I subtract out the 5,000 that was borrowed at the beginning, it's 7,000 versus 5,000. So I essentially amplify the return. From 10,000 to 12,000, it's a 20% return, but a 50% margin actually returns 40%. There's also something called the maintenance margin. So if the problem, let's say you borrow $5,000 and then your account value goes to 4,000. That means you don't have enough money to pay the broker back. So they will always prevent that from happening with a margin, with what's called a maintenance margin. Once it gets close to that 5,000, let's say 6 or 7,000 or 6,000, say you need to put up more money, or we're canceling this trade for you. And then to calculate the price in which a margin call would happen is here you take the price of the stock or the number of shares times P, which is the price, subtract out what's borrowed and divide by 200 times P. And if the maintenance margin is at 25%, this will calculate, the P will calculate the price you need. Cryptocurrency, like the cool thing about crypto, what I'll talk about is that it's self-custody. The idea of self-custody is very important. There's no counterparty risk. I can hold my assets in my wallet. I can hold my assets in an online digital wallet or offline wallet. So it could be a digital wallet. It could be a hardware wallet. And the digital wallet, someone could hack into it. The hardware wallet, no hacking, but you have to remember your code. So it's a totally different way of thinking and being than we're used to. Is simply we give it to a trusted institution. Crypto is divisible, therefore one can buy. These were not right. Those failed. Okay, let's go to the exercise. So here's chapter 1 exercise. So for find one actual individual issue or security for all the financial instruments we discussed in chapter 1. So so Yahoo Finance or something. So Treasury. So if you want, I mean, you don't have to do, you can do a fund if you want. This is a fund that owns, so iShares TLT. You can put that in. Agency bond could be like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. A municipal bond could be, again, you can just do a municipal bond. You can use any of these bonds. So these are funds, but you could also do issuance. So let's see, California. Whoops, California. Muni bond. Yeah, just do the ETFs. That's the easiest. So US common stock could be like Apple, or this could be Alibaba. Just go to Yahoo Finance, put equity read. Just go to Yahoo Finance, put those in and find a ticker that makes sense and then add it. That's all you have to do for exercise 1, chapter 1. And then exercise 2. The purpose of exercise 2 is learn how to buy and sell. So go to this, register for this website, and then buy 2 stocks, buy the maximum possible of the 2 stocks, use limit orders. And then if you do a snapshot of the order, you can post that. So those are the exercises due for Tuesday, the first day. Thank you.